Hey everybody, I wanted to first and foremost wish you a happy Thanksgiving for next week. I know it's coming up fast, probably faster than many of us expected. So you'll probably be traveling this weekend or early next week. So I wanted to get this out to you regarding paper three. Um, when we step back, when I inherited this course about 5 years ago, I wanted to make it practical. And Professor Smith did an outstanding job making this an introspective course, challenging some of you, if not all of you, making it uncomfortable. And it has. I've received some, at least initially, not so kind emails from at least one or two of you. And I call them not so kind because I think you were a little too quick to judge. Um, but in any event, I believe you've gotten over that. And now you understand what this course was designed to do. So, with that being said, Professor Smith made it an introspective course, not a course on do's and don'ts, um, because ethical decision making is more than just following a list. Okay. So I then took it and said, I need to make this practical. And how do we make it practical? Well, most of you are working adults, and those of you that are not working adults, you're certainly on your way to becoming a professional. We want you to be successful in what you do, and we want it to be ethical. What your success should be tied to goodness and not to evil, if you will, right? Um, so, paper one focused on you, your ethical framework, your core values. I was very liberal with paper one. Every single one of you had an opportunity to improve it. Most of you did, and you got an idea of what I was looking for: greater introspection, greater candor. Paper two, you were tasked to do a reconnaissance of a landscape, of an environment, whether it was your work, home, synagogue, temple, church. Most of you did well in paper two. Now, you were not given an opportunity to redo paper two, so the grading was a little bit more difficult. Paper three now, you're flying solo. Okay? A couple of you have come to me and said, Professor, what are the prompts? What are the prompts for these papers? You're graduate students. And as a graduate student, you're expected to exercise gray matter more than an undergrad student and to use professional judgment. And the prompts are these videos, my explanation, and you've got to digest those and synthesize those and formulate what you believe the objective should be, or if not the objective, but the description of paper three's analysis, which is to be: how do you improve ethics in your deliverable? So, in a governmental accounting environment, that could be if you're working on a CAFR. Are there sections of the CAFR which need to be improved ethically, not just technically? I don't care about the technical so much, that's secondary. How can I make the CAFR greater? A wonderful resource for you to look at criticisms of CAFRs would be Truth in Accounting, the Sheila Weinberg organization. Whether you subscribe to, what they do or not, it doesn't matter. Remember, criticism is good. Just because it cuts us, maybe hurts us, bruises our ego, that's the problem. We don't want to be insulted. We don't want to be critiqued. Oh no, well, God forbid you judge me. Look at you. No, judge me. You're going to judge me as a professor. And you know what? Some of you won't be very kind, maybe. You might be hard, but that's okay. Because even in your analysis, in your judgment, which I might not personally like, I will look for an element of truth because that's what we should do with criticism. Be open to it. So in paper 3, I want you to really look hard at your deliverable. So if you're working in governmental accounting, if you're a preparer, think about your financial statements, any potential recognition issues, display issues, or footnotes that need to be, maybe clarified. Are you skirting the line in a disclosure? Are you avoiding transparency? If you're an auditor, what are you doing? Are you, for example, when you're running your statistical samples or doing your materiality assessments, are you taking some liberties and not fully disclosing those to the auditee or the client, or maybe even management? Are you not auditing things that should be audited because you know it's going to upset the client? So even from an audit perspective, be open to improving your deliverable, okay? In the auditing profession, you're under a lot of stress. I get that. I know that. So again, how do you deal with this as an auditor? Is your deliverable and possibly better communication with the partner, or the client? And how do you improve that? For those of you who don't really, work yet in this accounting world, some of you might be waiters or waitresses, you're working your way through school. Fine, talk about that. What is your deliverable at work? Is it just helping the kitchen get an order right or expediting the order? Do you possibly work in the kitchen? Do you plate the food? Are you the expediter? How do you make your job more ethical? In the sense, you might get patrons that come in and ask you, hey, what's good on the menu? And you don't want to necessarily say, well, this isn't as good as the other, but hey, can you point them to something that's really better than maybe what you know? For example, I used to order a salmon salad at this great Irish pub in DC. Some of you who in the area might remember it's in Chinatown. It was called Fido's. And there was an Irish waitress, Mary, wonderful lady. She's now working over at the courthouse. I think it's I forgot the name of it, but it's another Irish pub. But anyway, I digress. One day, my partner and I went in there, and she said, "Don't order the salmon." I said, "Mary, why not? We've been ordering it for the last couple of. Don't order the salmon." That's all she said. Just don't order it. We don't have it anymore. Not the way you want it. So I don't know. All I know is that she respected us. We were good tippers. So she steered us away from the salmon. They must have gone to an inferior salmon or something that just wasn't right. So for the longest time, all we could do is order chicken, with our salads or, beef, steak. So again, in that environment, how do you, become more ethical? Do you know that there are problems maybe with refrigeration or in the kitchen that need to be addressed? Home life. Some of you are, so young maybe and you're not even working yet and you're just a full-time student. What about your relationships with your family members? Boyfriends, girlfriends, fiancés, whatever it might be. How do you make those relationships more ethical? Okay. And so, paper 3, you're flying solo because you have to explain to me something in your life that you're doing or working on that you're going to improve ethically. Okay? Now, it could be anything. It could be in your spiritual walk, but it's got to be a concrete thing. Okay? Now, some of you have written some very personal things in your journals, and I appreciate the candor. Paper 3 could go that route if you'd like, but I would actually prefer, if you're a working adult, Let's talk about your job. If you're a young person not really working, talk about some maybe relationship issues that need to be improved. Or if you're a volunteer, you know, at a pet grooming facility, for example, let's talk about that. Ethics is everywhere. Okay? So, paper three really is kind of the capstone because you're flying solo. I'm going to grade it. You know, I want to, some of you are going to say, oh, he's going to be harsh. Well, I'm going to grade it. And it's going to be an honest grade from what I, can assess. Introspection, candor, real, emphasis on improving. And I think about one of you that works for, or a couple of you that work for a water district, or one of you were just, you were discussing how setting rates, I think, I vaguely recall this, setting budgets and rates. Maybe you might be able to influence that through financial reporting. Now, granted, you're not the commissioners or part of the commissioner, maybe off their office, but could your financial reporting help with transparency to at least raise issues that need to be raised? Maybe there's an elephant in the room that we do need to point to, but right now your financial reports don't do that. Okay? You kind of help along, in this so called crime, right? Or lack of ethical environment. So, with that said, this is the paper three discussion. If any of you have any questions, I think it's due November 10th, right? Let me check here. Paper three is due the 10th. You can call me or email me and we'll schedule an appointment and we'll talk about it. So you are flying solo, but you get all the free tutoring, again, it's free. Well, actually, no, you paid for it, so you should avail yourself of it. But I'm giving you my time, because I want you to succeed. Okay? I'll have closing remarks for you towards the end of the term, but needless to say, I've given you ample opportunity to use extra credit, and some of you have availed yourself of it for the grade. But let me just say this. The grade you get in this class doesn't really matter. It to you it does. Your ego, oh, I graduated with a 4.0. Oh, wow. That's really great. I'm really happy for Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. I'm really happy, Okay, good. Good for you. You got a 4.0. The grade that matters is the grade you get in life. And some of you ain't touched it yet. You think you have. You're in your own little bubble on your job. Wait until that job changes. New, maybe director comes in of your housing authority or of your commission. You change commissioners or mayors. Or you change jobs and you find yourself in another bubble. And guess what? It's all going to be different. At that point, you're going to say, oh my God, I do need to look deep. How am I going to survive this new environment? That's where your grade's going to matter. That's where what you learn here is going to either help you swim, or for those of you that might have got a great letter grade here, but really didn't learn it in here, you'll sink. Okay? Trust me. I've taught for 25 years, folks. I don't look that old, but I've been teaching for a long time. And you get a general sense that there's a small portion of your students who really care and are committed, especially in this ethics class, because it is a difficult, difficult thing to look inside and admit our failures. Okay? But let's be thankful that we live in a great country with great people and that we have the right, not from the government, but we have inalienable rights to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. Okay? Let's be thankful for that. Your grade's secondary, but your freedom, your liberty, the ability to have free speech, at least on paper, is important. So have a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Be safe if you're driving. Drink responsibly, right? And stay well. We'll talk to you guys and ladies later. Bye.